but I don't think she has anything to do with me. I mean, my whole thing is singing, writing songs. Yeah, and I've been doing this, my whole life. Singing is first and foremost. It's a God-given talent that I'm grateful for. Her thing is something different.
People always say legends never fall. But what if that isn't true? What if even the greatest voices to ever touch a microphone can be slowly pushed into silence? Not by age, not by talent fading, but by power, jealousy, and quiet industry moves that happen behind closed doors. For years, fans believed Whitney Houston's tragic story was simple: a gifted woman lost to addiction, a star who couldn't escape her demons, a voice that burned too bright and faded too fast. But what if that wasn't the full truth? What if there was pressure she never spoke about, doors that suddenly stopped opening, calls that were never returned, opportunities that quietly disappeared while newer faces took center stage? And now, whispers are growing louder. Because Mariah Carey, the woman who stood beside Whitney, competed with her, laughed with her, and understood her world better than anyone.
Beyonce drunk in love?
I don't know this. I love Beyonce, but I have not.
Mariah just flew in from her own planet, I'm telling you. This is Mariah's.
From my own planet?
Yes.
I did.
Yes, absolutely.
And I don't.
Has started revealing pieces of a story many were never meant to hear. A story involving industry politics, a story involving control, and a story that keeps circling back to one powerful name: Beyonce. But here's the twist. This isn't about hatred, it's about survival in a system that only allows room for one queen at a time. And when Whitney Houston refused to disappear gracefully, things allegedly began to shift.
Mary's voice comes from God. You can hear the gospel in her voice. Very nice to see her in the church. The whole message in the video was just Vision of Love. Was one of the first songs I heard when I was a kid, where I heard all of these riffs, and I was like, how does she do that? In this little short amount of time, the amount of notes she could squeeze in that one little bar, 2 bars, was fascinating to me. And that's kind of when I started trying it. And it's something that I love to do in my music, but she completely inspired.
Back in the late 1980s and early 1990s, Whitney Houston wasn't just famous, she was untouchable. Her voice wasn't trained to impress, it was born to command. Every note carried emotion. Every performance felt like church and heartbreak wrapped together. She didn't just sing songs, she lived inside them.
Everybody gonna want us to go to their shows, Frank.
Why?
Because we gonna sing everything.
Everybody does.
No, everybody does.
But we go and meet everybody, say, hey, great show, and then still
At that time, Mariah Carey was rising fast, a young woman with a 5-octave range, a soft speaking voice, and a powerful delivery that stunned everyone who heard her. The media immediately tried to pit them against each other. Whitney was the seasoned superstar. Mariah was the newcomer miracle. And even though fans wanted drama, the truth was far more complex.
I would say she was the original Beyonce. Beyonce stole her stage.
Oh, you think so?
Look at Crazy in Love video and look at Ava Marie.
Fall in love.
Mariah admired Whitney deeply. She once said Whitney's voice made her believe anything was possible. Whitney, on the other hand, saw Mariah as the future, not a threat, but a continuation of excellence.
Rivalries, but I don't think she has anything to do with me. I mean, my whole thing is singing, writing songs. Yeah, and I've been doing this, my whole life. Singing is first and foremost. It's a God-given talent that I'm grateful for. Her thing is something different.
Two women surviving in a male-dominated industry that loved to compare women instead of celebrating them. But while they were being pushed into imaginary rivalry, something else was happening quietly in the background. The music industry was changing. Labels no longer wanted pure vocals. They wanted branding. They wanted image. They wanted performance, spectacle, and global dominance. And as the years passed, Whitney's traditional powerhouse style began to feel old-fashioned to executives chasing trends. That's when pressure began creeping in. New artists were being positioned, new faces were being pushed, and among them was a young woman from Houston with drive, discipline, and an empire already forming around her, Beyonce. At first, she was just part of a group, then she became the breakout star. Then the solo transition happened, and suddenly the industry had found its next obsession. Unlike Whitney, Beyoncé didn't rely only on vocals. She delivered choreography, visuals, precision, control. And the labels loved that. Because control meant predictability, and predictability meant profit. Meanwhile, Whitney's life was becoming messy, not because she lacked talent, but because fame had consumed her faster than anyone expected. As her struggles became tabloid headlines, the industry began distancing itself. And that's where Mariah says things started feeling strange. According to people close to Mariah, she noticed a pattern forming long before the public did. Whitney would record powerful material, but releases kept getting delayed. Producers stopped returning calls. Collaborations were discussed but never finalized. Budgets quietly shrank, promotion plans suddenly changed, and while executives claimed it was about market shifts, the timing raised eyebrows, because at the same moment Whitney was being scaled back, Beyoncé was being scaled up. Award show slots, prime television performances, magazine covers, brand deals. Every door seemed open for one woman, while another was being gently guided toward the exit. But here's the part that hurts the most. Whitney didn't understand why. She believed her voice still mattered. She believed her legacy meant something. Yet the industry was already moving on. Mariah reportedly witnessed Whitney becoming more insecure, more hurt, more confused about why she suddenly had to fight for respect she once received effortlessly. And what nobody expected was how lonely that made her feel. Whitney wasn't just losing opportunities, she was losing her place. While Beyoncé was celebrated as the future, Whitney was subtly framed as the past. And in an era obsessed with youth, that label is deadly. Behind closed doors, insiders allegedly began pushing a narrative that Whitney was too unpredictable, too emotional, too risky. But Mariah would later suggest that unpredictability wasn't the real problem. Independence was. Whitney didn't want to be controlled. She didn't want to become a product. And in an era where branding mattered more than raw talent, that made her expendable. But here's where things turn uncomfortable, because Mariah reportedly claims that Whitney's decline wasn't just natural, it was accelerated. Not through direct attacks, not through public feuds, but through quiet exclusion. When Whitney tried to reclaim her position, she found herself competing not with younger singers, but with a machine that controlled radio, a machine that dominated award voting, a machine that influenced producers, stylists, dancers, and media narratives. And Beyoncé, whether intentionally or not, sat at the center of that machine. Now, before anyone panics, Mariah never accused Beyoncé of personally plotting Whitney's downfall. What she allegedly exposed was something more chilling, that Beyoncé became the symbol the industry chose, and once that decision was made, everything else had to move out of the way, including legends. Whitney still showed up, she still gave interviews, she still tried to prove she had something left. But every stumble was magnified, every mistake replayed, every struggle turned into entertainment, while Beyoncé was protected, polished, shielded. The contrast was painful. One woman was humanized through suffering, the other was elevated to perfection, and Mariah saw it happening in real time. She reportedly watched Whitney internalize the rejection, blaming herself instead of the system that had already decided her fate. And that emotional weight pushed her deeper into pain. As the years passed, Whitney's confidence eroded. Her voice, still powerful, carried sadness behind it. She was no longer singing from joy, she was singing from survival. Mariah has hinted that Whitney often felt embarrassed, not because she lacked ability, but because the industry treated her like a liability. Imagine being told without words that your greatness has an expiration date, that the same people who once applauded you now whisper about replacing you, and all while the world watches. Mariah reportedly tried to encourage her, told her she was still legendary, still needed, still important. But encouragement can only do so much when doors keep closing. Whitney wasn't losing talent, she was losing belief. And when belief fades, everything else follows. Meanwhile, Beyoncé's rise became unstoppable. Every era carefully executed, every performance tightly managed, every appearance calculated for maximum impact. The contrast made Whitney feel forgotten, and Mariah says that hurt her more than any addiction ever could. Because drugs numb pain, but rejection magnifies it. Then came the final years. Whitney attempted comebacks. Some moments shined, others were harshly criticized. The media showed little mercy. Instead of celebrating her survival, they mocked her struggle. And Mariah noticed something heartbreaking. When Whitney stumbled, the industry turned away. When Beyoncé thrived, the industry applauded louder. It wasn't fair, it wasn't equal, and it wasn't accidental. Mariah reportedly believes that Whitney was emotionally abandoned by the very system she helped build. Not because she failed, but because she was no longer profitable. And when Whitney passed away, the grief felt heavy, but also complicated. Suddenly, everyone praised her. Suddenly, she was honored. Suddenly, her voice mattered again. But Mariah saw the hypocrisy. She saw how flowers were given only after silence. And that realization haunted her, because she knew Whitney deserved that love while she was still alive. The emotional impact of this story goes far beyond music. It speaks to how women are treated once they age, how legends are discarded once they stop fitting a marketing plan, how vulnerability becomes a weakness instead of a reality. Whitney wasn't just battling addiction, she was battling erasure. And Mariah, who later faced her own industry struggles, understood exactly how quickly admiration can turn into neglect. This wasn't about Beyoncé being evil, it was about how the system uses one woman to replace another, then calls it progress. Whitney paid the emotional price. Her spirit carried wounds no microphone could heal, and when she left this world, it felt like unfinished business, like a voice that still had something to say. Mariah's heartbreak isn't rooted in jealousy or rivalry, it's rooted in grief. The grief of watching someone she admired slowly fade, not because she couldn't sing, but because she was no longer protected. That kind of loss stays with you forever. And now, as fans revisit old interviews, old performances, old moments, the picture becomes clearer. Whitney wasn't weak, she was worn down by pressure, by silence, by feeling replaced. Mariah's revelations don't accuse, they expose. They force us to question how fame truly works, how success is given, and how easily it can be taken away. Because behind every spotlight, there's someone standing in the shadows wondering when the light left them. Whitney Houston gave the world everything she had, and when she needed the world to hold her up, it stepped back. That truth hurts, and maybe that's why Mariah finally spoke. Not to blame, not to attack, but to make sure Whitney's story is told honestly. Because legends deserve more than applause after they're gone. They deserve protection while they're still breathing. And maybe, just maybe, telling this story now is the only way Whitney's voice can continue to echo, not just through music, but through truth.